Stephanie with the Sea Salt Co. Today we're going to be making these very cute pink lemonade pitcher earrings. So I recently launched this cutter and I had some questions for a tutorial on how to make these earrings, so I decided to put one together for you. Now the first thing I'm showing you is an extruder disc which I made for lemon slices. It's a triangle with a little bit of a rounded edge on the back side, and that helps make a circle when we're making our slices. I will be making that available if anybody wants to use this. Otherwise, I think you'll be fine just using any triangle extruder disc. So the first thing I did was roll out some white clay, and it should be very, very thin. I actually ended up rolling this a little too thick for my liking. It worked okay, but I think the lemon slices work better when the white is actually a little thinner than this is. Also, I wanted to point out, if you notice my triangles at the top that I extruded, they're a little bit lighter than the yellow on the left-hand side, which is going to be used for the peel. I do like the peel of the lemon slices to be a little bit darker than the actual fruit on the inside, if that makes sense. So what I'm doing now is slicing my white clay right about the same thickness or width of my triangle ropes that I have up top. And I do want to mention that the very last slice that I'm doing is extremely thin, and there is a reason for that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of lay my first triangle onto that little white slice of clay that we made. And I'm just kind of trying to make sure that it's a little straight. One thing I will warn you about when I make clay canes, I'm kind of all over the place. I've seen other tutorials and people are so talented and they're so neat with their clay. I'm kind of the opposite, so I do want to give you a little bit of a warning when you're watching my tutorials, especially with making clay canes. I'm kind of all over the place. So I went ahead and added the yellow rope and then another slice of white clay, and I'm sure you can guess where this is going. We will keep alternating the yellow triangle rope and the white slice of clay until we create a circle, and that will be our slice. You can also stop at the halfway point, cut your cane in half, and then kind of stick the two halves together to make a circle. For me, I just kind of like making the entire circle as I go. Like I said, with clay canes, I'm kind of all over the place. If you're new to canes, I do want to point out that whatever clay you're using for one color, you want to use the same type or brand of clay for your whole cane. And the reason for that is, let's say for example, my white clay was Kato, which is really great clay for canes, but it's very, very stiff, hard clay. And if I were to use, say, a Sculpey clay for the yellow, which is much softer than the Kato clay, when you go to actually roll your cane out and you start making your long cane, you'll notice that the white clay will not disperse as evenly as the yellow clay, and you'll end up with a distorted cane. So here we are, we're almost about the halfway mark of our little slice. You can kind of see it coming together, and now those little triangles are starting to form that circle. Like I mentioned, the outer edge of that triangle is kind of rounded so that you will always make a circle when you're using that triangle extruder. Now, if you also notice, the center of my cane kind of has a little bit of a hole, and that is actually what we cut the very thin slice of white clay for. We're going to be sticking that right down the center of our cane and just filling that empty little circle space. My hands are really bad. I definitely have maker hands. They're all cut up and dry from using my tissue blades and washing, and because I try to use gloves as little as possible, so my hands do end up getting tortured quite a bit when I'm working with clay. All right, so we're getting closer to finalizing the full cylinder or slice. And here I am filling in that empty spot in the center that I was talking about. And sorry, I'm out of frame a little bit. I tried to get it close to the cane, and it's kind of hard to see where the camera is pointing, but I'll move back into frame in a little bit. So now we're just adding that, and it looks like I'm gonna have enough space there for one more yellow slice. And like I said, I am all over the place with my canes. I know I should be more neat and work on a flat table and just, I know. I'm sorry about that, but this is just how I do my clay. So I'm trimming off some of the excess here, and now I'm going to go ahead and add that last slice. So I'm opening up my cane just a little bit so that I can fit that slice in there snugly. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. Hopefully I'll get back in frame soon. There we go. So I guess I'm trying to show you that I'm opening it up in order to be able to fit the triangle in there. I'm always imagining in my head what I would be talking about when I'm making a tutorial, because it's so busy and I usually have music on and lots of things going on. So when I'm actually doing this, there's a lot of noise in the background. So I'm always thinking in my head, what would I be showing you guys? All right, so now that we're here at this step, this is when I would kind of try to straighten my cane out. And I want my lines to be as straight as possible, or fairly straight. Like I said, I'm not a perfect cane worker. I kind of just go with the flow. So if you work like I do, then hopefully you're gonna love this tutorial. All right, so now what I'm doing is I'm adding a thin white layer to the outside of my little triangles, and this will give us a white circle just before getting to the yellow outer edge. And if you notice on fruit, usually there is the white part inside that is between the peel and the fruit. I'm trying to show you that when I rolled my cane over, the clay left an impression of a line. So I kind of know where to cut by rolling it like that. Now I'm just fitting everything together, and then I'm gonna try to roll it out a little bit. I do like to roll it when it's here, just to kind of adhere and merge those two layers together of white. And I'm not going to fully reduce the cane yet, but I just like to roll it a little, and then I'll go on to do the yellow. Now, like I said, I am a messy cane worker. I'm missing a spot. It's clay. I'm just gonna fill it in. I don't like to overthink when I'm working with clay. I feel like it's just Play-Doh. So I filled in that gap, and now I can go ahead and start reducing my cane. This is probably the part that will take the longest, because you can't rush yourself when you're reducing a cane. If you try to go too fast, you'll distort your image or what's inside of your cane, and you'll end up with something that doesn't look too nice or proportionate. So one of the things I like to do when I'm reducing a cane is use a tile or an acrylic plate to help roll that cane out. And as you can see, I'm showing you this is what it would look like. And at this point I realize, oh, I should have done a little bit thinner with my white. You really want the white to be very thin, especially if you're going to reduce this cane to be very small like we are. It's usable, but just to give you a little tip, I would go ahead and roll my white just a little thinner. And here I am reducing. I did try to fast forward all of the boring parts so that this video wouldn't take too long for you guys. And here we are. I'm showing you the difference between what we started at and where we're at now. I still feel like it's just a little bit too big, so I end up reducing my cane a little more, and then I get lost in thought and reduce it too much. So I made it super thin, and I end up having to roll one of the other pieces. Or when you're making your cane, one thing I do want to mention also is you don't have to try to make it super long. When you're reducing your canes, they will become very long automatically. Okay, so now in this next step, what I'm doing is I'm mixing a tiny bit of color with translucent. And you don't want to use too much color with translucent because you don't want it to overpower. Translucent clay does not have a color, so it'll easily take on any color you add. When you get to this step, you can either use pink alcohol ink or do what I did, which is just use a tiny bit of pink clay mixed in with the translucent. So the first thing I did is I rolled my translucent clay out very, very thin, I believe at a number 6, and this is just to give myself a base. Since I'm going to be adding 2 colors together, the pink and the white, I want to make sure that the back of my earring is a nice solid piece of clay just to add a little bit of sturdiness. So I'm adding this pink that we just made out of the translucent and pink to the bottom. This will be our pink lemonade inside of our pitcher. I rolled it at a number 2, and I want to make sure to roll the translucent that's going to go on top of the pink the same thickness. So I also rolled that at a number 2. Now I'm just going to slice off the edge so that the pink and the translucent fit snugly together and we don't have any type of cracks or holes within the clay. So here we are, they fit together perfectly, and I'm going to go ahead here. This is where I want to make this clay seamless. So I'll go ahead and take my stainless steel roller, and I'm just going to roll it gently over the 2 pieces until they become one piece. I'm showing you the clay cane that we just made and how flimsy it is. Now I'm showing you one of my canes that's already been baked. So what I like to do when I roll out, let's say, lemon canes, since you're going to end up with quite a bit of cane, in order to save it so that it doesn't distort and get misshapen, I bake them for about 3 minutes, no more. And then after I bake it for about 3 minutes, I store them that way. And when I get ready to use it, I slice it just like I'm slicing now, and it works perfectly. So as you can see, that's one of the previous canes that I had from before. We do want to make sure to use some of the full slices of the lemon and then half slices. I feel like it just gives it a better look. So here what I'm doing is I'm leaving an imprint in the clay just so that I know where to eyeball and put my lemon slices and wedges. And I do like to put that first lemon slice kind of popping out of the pink lemonade, so between the pink and the white, and then the rest of the little pieces just floating kind of throughout. I'm one of those people that can overthink this step on placement for my little pieces, and I can get lost in this part. So here I am kind of struggling with the tiny pieces to place them. And once you have them placed where you want them, we're going to be pushing those slices down into your clay. And because these have already been pre-baked, they're hard. So I can literally push them down into my pink clay and the lemon slice will not be distorted. So it'll keep its nice cute shape, and I can push it into my clay. Here I am using a ball tool to kind of move that slice around, and then I'll be using the same ball tool to push the lemon slices and wedges into the lemonade. And the goal is I'm trying to achieve a flat surface between the lemonade and the lemon so that it'll be nice and smooth, and at the end you can just add any type of sealant that you want. You can leave it as it is, or you can add a glossy finish. I chose to use resin, UV resin, on my original pieces that I showed because I like the high shine that it gives. So here I am using the roller, and I'm showing you that it's nice and smooth. All of the pieces are even with my clay. And now I'm going to go ahead and use my cutter. I did dip my cutter into cornstarch. I always dip my cutters that are pretty intricate, just like this one since it has a handle, into cornstarch because I don't want any of that clay to get stuck onto my cutter. And that's actually part of the reason why I only work on shiny ceramic tiles and glass, because I want my clay to stick to the surface and not my cutter. And what I've found is porous surfaces such as marble are not sleek enough for the clay to stick to. So they're shiny and the clay will adhere pretty well, but not as well as it will on a piece of glass or a shiny ceramic tile. All right, so here I am peeling back the clay, and I have a little plug there from the pitcher handle. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that with my ball tool. And that's it. So this is pretty much the entire tutorial. From here, I'm dusting off the cornstarch, and then I'll bake as normal. And that's it. So from here, this step after baking, you will apply any type of coat that you like to protect your piece. You don't have to add a coat because this earring is 100% polymer clay. So the next step, thanks to movie magic, these pieces have been baked, and now I'm getting ready to clean them with my Dremel. I love using a Dremel for finishing my pieces. The tip that I have on it is a felt tip, and I always use felt tips. I stopped sanding my clay pieces a very long time ago. It was just too time consuming for me and left too much white residue and scratching on my clay. So I find that when I use these little tips, the felt tips, they have wide ones and narrow ones, my pieces come out great, and I can go really fast when I'm cleaning them up. So I'm cleaning out the handle, and usually when I'm working with a piece like this, I like to sand from the back with any small holes because it's easier to reach the excess clay versus trying to dig or jam a tool from the front and try to get to the back. So as you can see, the excess clay just kind of flecks off, so it's really, really easy to use, and it's just really satisfying for me to actually watch this. I'm watching this with you guys. I'm doing the voiceover, so I'm kind of watching this with you, and I'm getting lost in just watching it. Once your pieces are cleaned and sanded, your earring is ready for you to either put a coat on, or if you don't want to put a coat on your earring, then you can go ahead and just drill your holes, add your findings, and enjoy your cute, cute, cute pink lemonade earrings. I'm sorry for all of the rambling and for my messy way of working with clay. But I hope this video helped you, and I'm excited to see everyone wearing their earrings.